Welcome back to another week of Midwest Whitetail. Today is Sunday, September 17th. We had Iowa youth season roll in yesterday, and we've got quite a few teams out. We had a thunderstorm blow through yesterday afternoon. Deer movement for us, we actually hunted out here at the home farm. It wasn't that great. Tonight we've made the move over to the bottom plot, we call it. Bella had success here a couple of years ago on the Big 8, and we have a northeast wind. It's about mid-70s. Higher pressure day with the front that blew through yesterday. It's a really nice setup. Our main target out here on the home farm is going to be Big Mac. 5 years of history with that deer, for those of you who are new to the show. One that Bella's personally been trying to get the last couple of years. So we're hoping tonight that he'll come to the beans here. The beans are still pretty green. We actually planted this food plot later than all the other plots. And so this is the greenest beans on the farm. Fingers are crossed he'll show up. Before we jump into the show, we have an exciting announcement. As most of you guys know, we've been partnering with Woodhaven Calls for a couple of years now, both on the turkey side and the whitetail side. And over the last couple of years, we've been working with them to develop a Midwest Whitetail grunt tube. This grunt tube is called the Midwest Grunter. It's part of their Ninja Whitetail series line. It's a fantastic grunt tube, has a great sound. And as of the airing of this show, it's available for order online. So the official release date is Monday, September 18th. So if you guys are in the market for a new grunt tube, check them out. While we're getting organized and ready to go, we're going to join the rest of the team as each guy will go through their hit list for the year. Hope you guys enjoy the show, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
Well, as you guys just saw, Iowa's deer season is officially opened in the form of the youth season, and I cannot wait to see the end of this episode to see if Bella was able to get it done again. I'm sure that Mike mentioned it, but if you haven't already, check out last week's episode where those guys went out to Kansas. I can't give a big enough shout out to such a young hunter who was able and willing, more importantly, to put in the time and effort that it takes to go all the way to Kansas, all the way back, multiple trips. You're talking 20 hours-ish in the car, just to get to go hunt for a few days, and it all came together for Bella. It illustrates somebody who has got a passion, no doubt, for hunting, but more importantly, it illustrates it's something that I can't wait to hopefully someday experience, passing it along to your family members. Nobody does it better than Mike, so hopefully by the end of this episode, we get to watch that unfold again. But what this week's show is all about, as Mike introduced, is talking through the best bucks that we've gotten this season, and just a little bit of brief backstory before I go into those. As we talked about, whether it was on the daily blog or on a couple of the main shows, every piece of property that I will be hunting this fall, I have never stepped foot on come season. They're all brand new. My main goal this year is for my girlfriend to be able to shoot her first deer with a bow. And so we've put all of our efforts located around her, just so that she might be able to have some more hunting time compared, she's working a Monday through Friday job. And going back a few months, we got permission on all these farms, and we just put out trail cameras in areas that we thought were gonna give us good buck photos. I'm basically gonna go through what the farm is, what we're calling it, and then what the best deer are on it. So bear with me, a lot of things going on at one time, but hopefully it's laid out in a way that makes sense and can kind of set the stage for the season. So going back into the early months of the summer, we got these new permission farms, and the first one's gonna be called a piece known as the River Farm. Obviously, we've got a lot of guys with River Farm names on this show, but the reason why is it's a big piece of timber, about 35, 40 acres, that is going to run right along the river. Big cornfield on the north side of that, and it's going to be a spot that I'm really excited come late October and hopefully into November. Put out a couple cameras early on, put out a Axe 1 feed pile, and was able to start getting some really nice young bucks. But the one that jumped to the list as far as a buck that we're looking back for in Hardhorn, haven't gotten him yet, is just a big frame 8-pointer. Super nice, wide, tall tined, and it's a farm that we really do expect to get more deer as the season progresses. One of the things I've been paying a lot of attention to is there's a lot of local does, and that gets me excited. So obviously, if you're from the Midwest or live in Iowa, crops are coming out pretty early this year, so that could totally transform that parcel. No idea what to expect, but hopefully as scrapes start to continue to open up, we start to get some new bucks, and we'll monitor that as we go. The next piece is one that we're calling the hog farm. Local owner has a hog building on it. And so, long story short, similar piece, really expecting some good activity come late October into November. It's a bunch of tree lines that connect big pieces that are miles apart. Bunch of ag on it, same sort of deal. I expect the whole thing to transform when the ag comes out. But put a camera out near a creek line that was on the edge of the cornfield / bean field. There's an intersection, and got some really nice photos as the summer progressed. Number one deer that showed up there was a mainframe. I think he was a 9 or 10 with split G2s. Nice and heavy, haven't gotten to him except that one sequence of photos. And then there's a long beam 9-pointer. But again, somewhat of a farm that I'm not expecting consistent activity, and I think it'll be more of a funnel come that late October rut time frame. And moving to the farm that I'm the most excited about, it's one that we acquired permission on later in the year. The first time that we went out there, myself, Joey, and Gavin could not have had bigger smiles on our faces. It is a beautiful piece of ground, mostly CRP, has some good hardwood timbers on it. And the first and foremost thing that I recognized was how much time and effort that this particular landowner was putting into the piece. I think that he's gonna hunt some of the early muzzleloader, but by and large, you know, he's out there trying to maintain his CRP and natives. He is out there planting trees, you know, the whole 9 yards. He's got honeybees out on the farm, and overall, an incredible piece of property that I was a little bit weary just how much, you know, human pressure and intrusion was occurring. Would that affect the deer movement, and more importantly, would that affect the daylight movement? Well, as we sit here in September, I'm very excited to announce that that is not the case, and in fact, it's the place we've got the most daylight activity, and it's got the biggest deer on top of it. So, starting with the number one deer for this season that I'm most excited to try and get after, there's a big mainframe 10-pointer with about a 5-inch drop tine. Started getting him back probably somewhere in the early parts of August on this creek crossing. And then I've also got a camera up by an apple tree that I'm getting him on. And in that same core area, we've got this 6x6, big wide frame, long beams, about 5, 6, 7-inch tines. So with these 2 bucks in mind, you know, I was very excited as we started to compile the photos of this big 6x6 and drop tine 10. And then my heart kind of sank. There was a buck that was running in the same core area as both of them, and we found him dead of EHD. I talked about this on the video blog, had him on camera. He was healthy, looked fine, and then within 8 days, when Alex and I stumbled upon him, he was clean to bones. And so my gut was just a little bit nervous of, like, you know, these 2 big deer going to succumb to the same fate. Well, fast forward a few more days, we're getting pictures of this velvet buck, we're getting him on the apple tree, we're getting him on the creek crossing, and then poof, he's gone. And so obviously at this time of the year, bucks are starting to shed their velvet, they go away, they're exploring their fall ranges, all the different things, acorns, corn still standing, etc. Well, as of today, he's still alive. I got some photos on a cuttyback that I've got over that apple tree that were really, really foggy this morning, and I couldn't tell what it was. And just for this show, I went and pulled all the SD cards so I could have the high resolution photos for what we're talking about here. I have a camera that's just off to the side, and we have a video of this drop tine deer shedding his velvet. So all you can see is his drop tine. You can't really get a good perspective of him. He's got a ginormous body from the photos. I'm really, really hoping that we get a chance at him. I think he's in the area in general, and he's really coring up as of right now in this one section of timber. So pending how things go in the next few weeks, you know, right now he's my number one target, but like I said, we're just gonna take it day by day. We've got cameras out on these various farms, and most importantly, I could not give the bigger shout out to all of the landowners who are giving me the opportunity to chase the deer that we are, giving us the opportunity to do what we love for another season. And I'm really, really excited to see how this entire year unfolds for the team. Unfortunately, this week, we don't get to see Owens because he's out west with a good buddy out in the neck of the woods where him and his father used to hunt out there for elk. But next week, we're gonna get to see the story of Loch Ness take a turn. So stick around. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the episode, and good luck to you this fall.
It's starting to look more like fall in here, man. Awesome, we're good. All right, what is today? September 17th, and I'm finally getting my trail cameras out. I've been so busy this off season. I really have only had time to put cameras on one farm and cover one farm really well, and That's the Lucky farm. I'm sure you guys already know what I'm about to say for my top hit lister, and that's Lucky. A lot of history with him. He has pretty much disappeared on that farm here for the good, probably past month. Really eager to get him back. I'm sure he is going to be back, but a lot of people right now, they're saying, I'm losing my bucks. I don't know where my target buck is, and they're just in the corn. Once crops start coming out, they should file back, and I'm hoping that's what Lucky does. But that's probably not what I'm most excited about this season. I'm probably most excited about this Guards deer. Showed him a lot last year, had a lot of encounters with him. And it's a deer that I've talked about on the show so far this year that we're trying to target for Steve. And Steve's been shooting the bow quite regularly so far this off season. He's really pumped for it. And that deer has been showing up quite a bit this summer. He looks really good. A couple really cool photos with him losing his velvet dripping down off his horns, and it's just a deer that Steve and I are both equally excited about, and we cannot wait until October 1st hits here in a couple weeks. But the whole goal this week is to get my cameras out. I've got a lot of deer that I'm really eager to get back. You know, I had a lot make it through last year on multiple farms, and hopefully after this week, I have a hit list put together. But I'm also really excited about Lee's hit list this year. I don't know if you guys have been following along with the blog so far, but we've put in a few really good plots for GQ Jr. and Chuck Norris. GQ Jr. is still off the farm right now, but I got to see him in person a few weeks back, and he is an absolute King Kong Magnum. The Chuck Norris buck, he's been showing up in that plot that we just drilled the oats in here regularly. We got a picture of him last night, and we're finally able to tell exactly what he's got for those eye guards. There's just points going all over for that deer. So really excited about this season. Can't wait for it to come together, and hopefully it's gonna be one to remember, one for the books. So we're gonna pass it over to Zach. Zach's got some good deer on camera so far this year too. See what he's got for us.
As far as my hit list for 2023, I think it's still developing at this point in time. You know, I hunt 2 farms, with being the Goat Hills and Area 52 as being my primary areas that I'm gonna hunt this coming fall. Both of them are larger timber tracts, and just right now, bucks are really starting to transition into their fall ranges. And as of right now, I don't really have that hit list that's really starting to come together yet, but I have all the confidence in the world that it will develop over the coming weeks, because even just the last couple days, there's been several bucks that have just shown up for a day or two, almost kind of testing the waters a little bit. And although I haven't had a lot of familiar faces that have shown up yet, I have all the confidence in the world that they will, because, you know, I really have a large population of does on both the Goat Hills and Area 52. And I really think that sets it up really well for rut hunting, because, you know, when it comes down to the doe populations, they tend to be more homebodies when it comes down to it, and kind of stay in the same area, where the bucks are kind of transitioning into their fall ranges at this point in time. And I'm really looking forward to that hit list to continue to develop, because there are a few bucks, especially down at Area 52, that I'm looking forward to showing up. One of them is that buck I called Fettuccine. You know, I had you know, quite a few photos of him last fall, and I'm pretty confident that, you know, I'm right on the edge of his home range, and that was one of the reasons I set up that secluded plot this year, was specifically to hunt that deer. And then there's that other buck that I call the Young Stud. You know, I like that, always going with themes when it comes down to naming deer, and I haven't come up with a good name for him yet, and I've been going with the food down on Area 52, so there's no shortage of naming possibilities with that. And just transitioning over to the Goat Hills, you know, one of the things that's become very apparent very quickly is there's no shortage of deer, and there's a lot of bucks, but it looks like a lot of them are kind of tended towards 3 and 4 years old. You know, you never really know unless you kind of build that history over time. But it really feels like, you know, out at the Goat Hills, that it's going to be one of those things that when the season continues to develop, that more mature bucks are going to work their way into there, because right now it just seems like a lot of young bucks are calling that area home. So in the coming weeks, I'm looking forward to continuing to check the Cuddy Link system and really honing in on that hit list as the season approaches, because with season just right around the corner, we got a few projects left we need to tie up on both Area 52 and the Goat Hills, and just looking forward to the season to kick off October 1st, because I'm looking forward to being in the tree.
Well, it's a beautiful day here in southeast Iowa. Dragos and I are trying to do a little catch up here, putting a couple cameras out. We're actually out on the hay farm today. This is one of my permission farms. If you guys have followed along on the blog so far, we've done a little bit of scouting and putting cameras up on public so far, but that's about it. You know, with doing Chase November and everything, I've just been super tied up in the office. And so now we're just trying to play catch up at this point. It's shaping up to be a great season. I don't have a ton of targets showing up yet, So far in the public, since we put those cameras up there, it's been about 2 weeks at this point. I've had a couple really nice bucks show up. One that may be mature, I'm not 100% sure. Never got a great look at his body or anything, but it looks like he's got a great rack, great tall twos and everything. He'd be an awesome deer to run into, or at least get more pictures of and get better eyes on him. But there's also a 6x5 in there that I believe I have history with. I believe I had him on camera last year a few times. He was a 3-year-old, I think, last year. It'd be hard to pass, me personally, but we'll just see what he looks like if we ever get a chance to see him. You know, between the big deer that I'm looking forward to showing back up, hopefully this year, and lots of other bucks on the public, couldn't be more excited about hunting out there this year, having some history with some of those deer and knowing the area a little bit. But other than that, nothing crazy so far. That public is one of those areas that really doesn't get too good until the crops come out. A lot of the deer will live in the corn, in the bean fields surrounding the public in the summer, and then they'll just drift into those areas where there's more cover on the public later on once those crops come out. Between the home farm and here at the hay farm, I have 2 big 8s, very similar looking, just a little slightly different, but both very mature deer, looking forward to them, and a couple younger deer that we encountered last year that I'm looking forward to as well. Hopefully they made a good jump and they can be on the target list for this year. But super excited though. This is the first time I think in 4 years that I'll be hunting the same properties 2 years in a row. And so going into this season with all that historical knowledge from last year, knowing when deer like to move, when deer are in these certain areas, all that stuff, trail cam history, it's really exciting going into this season. I feel really confident.
Well, we are all set up, ready to go here. Haven't seen any deer yet, but we've got about 2.5 hours to go. Got some pretty awesome bucks on the hit list this year throughout the team. Excited to see which ones we can get down. The main buck here on the home farm is going to be Big Mac. Certainly for Bella and her siblings and my wife, but Bella's got quite the story going after that deer and just laying claim to him. As I mentioned earlier, we've got 5 years of history with Big Mac, and it'd just be really nice to catch up with him. There's a few other bucks here on the home farm as well that are mature, but he'll certainly be the main one. As for myself, I'm going to be focused on DK down at the river farm. I don't have any other bucks at this point that I'm really interested in, so we're going to be strategizing over the next couple of weeks how I might best be able to catch up with him. He's a buck that doesn't live fully on the farm, so he's kind of there sparingly. He's been that way the last couple of years. We did have a couple encounters with him last year, and I do think that, you know, we should have some opportunities with him. He's on the edge of the farm, but he tends to swing through there on the rut a fair amount. We actually had a little stretch of him being in there before he shed his velvet into August, early September, and he was there in the Nebraska plots quite a bit, even in daylight. And then since then, he's slowed down. He's maybe once or twice a week we'll get a photo of him at night. So we'll see as the season approaches. There's a lot of factors right now affecting where deer are. Of course, they're all shedding their velvet and moving to their fall ranges, doing the little fall shuffle. And then the acorn crop is one of the best acorn crops I've ever seen. I mean, it is amazing how many acorns are on the ground right now. And that's certainly affecting you know, where you're getting pictures of deer. They don't move quite as much whenever the acorns are falling basically in the bedding area. I know everybody's kind of dealing with that, but I imagine as they start to scrape more, we'll get a little bit better idea, you know, where they're honing in on. We've got the majority of the cameras out and deployed on mock scrapes, and there's some other scrapes that are just opening up. So it's exciting. Season's fast approaching, and I can't wait for October 1st to get here. In the meantime, hopefully we can have some success here in youth season. the crab claw buck, and the other one might be the lobby buck. You see him right there? I see him. I think that's an older buck, right? I can't tell. Not yet. That's lobby, dude. That is lobby. We should probably shoot him. He's like at least a 6-year-old. I want to try to shoot him. You can see him. You can see all of his vitals right there. Right in the shoulder. This way. Just stay on him. Stay on him. Stay on him. Okay. Just wait. Just wait. Can't go any farther. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not sure what happened.
Well, we had a slow hunt at the beginning, but then near the end of the hunt, everything started speeding up, and we had an encounter with Droopy, who is, we think, about 6 years old. I couldn't decide if I wanted to shoot him or not. The beans were making me a little jittery because they were like halfway up his body and obscuring him in some parts of the field. He helped make the decision by getting out before I could pull the trigger, so maybe next time, I guess.
Maybe next time, that's right.
Well, as you guys saw, we had a great hunt last night. We almost got it done. Had a couple audio issues at the end of the hunt, and I'm just kind of wrap things up for you. The deer was in the beans. We couldn't see the vitals. Bella didn't want to take that shot. She didn't want to wound the deer. Made a good decision, ethical decision. Super awesome to see her making those decisions on her own as she's growing through her hunting process. Tonight, we're going to be back out on the home farm, hopefully back after Big Mac or one of these other mature deer. As far as my target list goes, a couple weeks ago, I went in and talked about this type 10 deer. We had him in velvet early. Got a couple pictures of him hardhorn. He hasn't been all over the cameras. There's a couple other deer on that farm that I'm curious to see back this year. I know Caleb had those encounters with the beast last year. Also, there was a 8x7 that showed up a few times on that farm. Caleb got some pictures of him late season. I also have a couple other permission pieces that I've gained this year. I've got some cameras running on. Nothing really showing up exciting on those yet, but hopefully as the crops come out and the deer get off the acorns, they start to show up and that hit list builds a little more. As you guys have seen in this video, the team has a stacked hit list this year. It's really shaping up to be one of the best seasons in Midwest whitetail history if everything goes well. I'm super excited to see the success, hopefully, that everybody's gonna have this fall. I know Owen, he's got a little surprise for everybody coming up in the next couple weeks, so you guys stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching Midwest Whitetail. We'll see you next week.